1996, the year of video game innovation and poor voice acting. Good times. Welcome, my Haze faithfuls, to the first episode of our newest segment on the show, Retro Resurrection, the show where I talk about the nostalgia trip of older games. At the end of the review, I'll determine whether or not the game should be resurrected or be put to rest for good. With Resident Evil 7 on the horizon, I figured why not kick this shit off right and go back to where it all began. So, for the many of you that haven't played the original or the remake, or if you really love the game and just want to listen to me talk about it, get your first aid spray ready, grab your janitorial ring of keys, and make sure you read your lines like you're only learning to read for the first time, as we uncover the mysteries of Resident Evil. Take your mind back to the distant 1993, a time when Mortal Kombat was still relatively new, Doom was planning to take the world by storm straight to hell, and Sonic's CD showed up. You know what you did. With the PlayStation to be released in the next year, Capcom commissioned Sweet Home creator Shinji Mikami to make a game set in a haunted mansion. The original idea was to make this project a remake of Sweet Home, but instead became its own beast that built upon the foundation of Sweet Home. And before long, Biohazard was ready to be the amalgamation of Hellspawn that we didn't know we needed. Of course, Biohazard would be the name we didn't get, and instead get the cheesy yet endearing title of Resident Evil, due to it being impossible to trademark Biohazard. Thanks a lot, Biohazard Battle and Biohazard the Band. Couldn't you have waited a couple of years? After 3 long years of development, Resident Evil was released on March 22nd, 1996 for the PlayStation. Resident Evil's story is one of confusion and, mental constipation sometimes, but for now, it's not as bad as you'd think. In the Arklay Mountains on the outskirts of Raccoon City, reports of strange murders with signs of cannibalism have been coming through, and so the Special Tactics and Research? Special Tactics and Shit, what does STARS stand for?
It means Special Tactics and Rescue Services.
Thank you. The Special Tactics and Rescue Service, or STARS division of the Raccoon Police Department, sends their Bravo team to investigate. But when contact is lost, Alpha team made up of Barry Burton, Chris Redfield, Albert Wesker, Jill Valentine, Robert Frost, and Brad Vickers goes in to find them. They find the crashed helicopter, get attacked by mutant dogs, and are forced to flee into a nearby mansion after Frost is killed, and Brad, the dickhead flying the helicopter, flies off without them. From here, one of your friends apparently doesn't make it inside, and after shots ring out, you're instructed by Wesker to go investigate. Before long, you're left alone, and face to face with zombies and monsters, and an assload of puzzles. It's up to you to solve the mysteries of the mansion, find your missing team members, and make it out alive.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Oh god, why? Resident Evil features a different kind of style with pre-rendered backgrounds and fixed camera angles that limit your visibility. And of course, the infamous tank controls. Tank controls are when the character is the point of reference when moving and not what way the camera is, and so you have to turn yourself in the direction you want to go in order to go that way. In this game, tank controls will work against you half of the time since the camera angles switch once you get to a specific point, which makes you automatically think to change the direction key you're pushing to continue going straight, when in actuality it will just teeter-totter you between camera angles. You more than likely will be aggressively running into shit until you slide off and hit the door because you can't figure out what direction to hit in a moment of crisis. Now, thankfully, this doesn't exactly hinder the combat, which depending on how you decide to go about things can be either far and few between, or every 2 doors. Throughout the game, you'll come across different guns that you'll use to keep yourself safe. Your shooting is mapped to 2 buttons for aiming and shooting. Holding down the aim button will point you towards the enemy, and a press of the action button will attack. I kinda like it better this way because sometimes an enemy will go down momentarily and grab you as you try to walk by thinking that it's dead. With the aiming mechanic, your character will aim directly at the threat without your directional input, which can help when it comes to unexpected enemies due to camera angles. And while we're here, we might as well applaud Capcom for their attention to detail, as every gun you come across has a different weight to them and has different effective rates, such as instant decapitation or instant kill. Now, in this game, planning and strategy are actually really important here. You may have weapons, but your ammo is limited and the mansion is a lot bigger than you might think, with a lot of monsters to deal with. You have to find bullets scattered across the mansion in either dead bodies or left out in dangerous areas, and the same goes for your health, which needs to be replenished with first aid sprays or green herbs that can be combined with other color herbs for different ailment effects such as poison. You combating the monsters you find have to be planned out, such as deciding whether to kill something or conserve the bullets for an even bigger threat later on. If you're not careful, you will see the "you died" screen over and over and over again. Your health is measured by this EKG meter in the corner of the inventory screen. This screen, which you'll be seeing an ass load of, tells you how much health you have, what you have in your inventory, and here you can examine and combine items to solve puzzles, save space, and reload. Of course, you can reload through the button commands, but in a pinch, I find it's a lot quicker and probably safer to skip the reload animation by combining your bullets with your gun in the inventory. You can also check the map when you found yourself confused and circling back through the same hallway, which you'll be doing a lot of because there is so much backtracking in this game. And you know why? Well, with your inventory slots limited, you will often find yourself running to and from puzzle and save room to free up inventory space to pick up keys or other key items. Why the save room, you ask? Well, allow me to introduce you to the box. This thing allows for you to put stuff in it to hold on to and connects to each save room box, so no matter where you are, your items will be waiting for you inside. But there is a drawback. The other thing you have to worry about is the saving mechanic. In order to save your progress, you have to find a typewriter, and in order to save, you have to have ink ribbons, which, if you haven't guessed by now, are scarce. You have 2 characters to choose from, and depending on who you choose, your playthrough will be a little different. But this also has to do with the choices you make throughout the game. We'll talk about that a little later. Jill, the
master of unlocking.
Ooh, who came up with that? Jill carries a lockpick that allows her to unlock doors that would normally require small keys, and she has 8 item slots. Jill can't take many hits before dying, but her hitbox is small enough that it's easier to get around enemies. She's considered the game's easy mode because of this, and the fact that Barry will help her out of certain situations. On the other side... Oh my god, who is that? Chris carries a lighter, starts out with just a knife, has 6 item slots, and has to go around finding the small keys I mentioned earlier to open doors and desk drawers that Jill can open with her lockpick. Chris can take more hits than Jill can, but his hitbox is a bit bigger, making it easier to get grabbed. A few years down the road, he'll compensate by making his hitbox even bigger than before, with those tree trunk arms. Oh my god. The last thing to keep in mind, for the gameplay at least, is that throughout this game, there will be certain situations that require your immediate attention, such as saving a friend who may be in trouble. If you fail to help, you will slowly put yourself on the track of the quote-unquote bad ending. So choose your actions carefully. So you've run around the mansion, dodged monsters, made 6 or 7 trips between save rooms in a particular puzzle, tried keys on just about every door you've come across, and have picked up every piece of paper that ever came your way, and have been slowly figuring out pieces of the story. It turns out that the monsters found in the mansion are the work of illegal experiments conducted by the biomedical company known as Umbrella, who has an iron-fisted grip on all of Raccoon City. Eventually you'll come across a member of Bravo team who will warn you about a traitor in your midst. You'll find yourself in an underground lab looking for a way out, but in a turn of events that probably at this point everyone saw coming but your character, Wesker reveals himself to be a double agent working with Umbrella, force Barry to help him, and lured Stars into the death trap of the Spencer Mansion to obtain battle data for the Tyrant, a huge, angry, lipless, badass monster who straight up Frankenstein's monsters Wesker and goes down in 2 shots? Oh, shit. That was anticlimactic. Oh, and it's time to retrieve your missing friend and get out of here. From this point, the choices you've made throughout the game dictate the one of multiple endings you'll get, but for the sake of this review, we'll stick to the good ending and we'll stick to Jill's story. So, Barry has redeemed himself, Wesker's a puddle of blood on the floor, and Chris is on the verge of being rescued when the self-destruct sequence has been started. With no time to waste, you rush to the elevator that will take you up to the helipad, and send off a flare to alert Brad, who's been circling the mansion like an idiot for God knows how long. But before he can reach you, Tyrant bursts through the ground, and it's up to you to get rid of him before the timer counts down and blows you all up. After pumping some lead into our naked friend, Brad will drop down an RPG to settle things once and for all. Tyrant goes up in smoke, and limbs fly everywhere. You and your friends escape the mansion just before it explodes in a glorious fireball and ride off into the rising sun, to go see a therapist for the severe case of PTSD you're all about to suffer from. Ah, what a story. While taking into consideration what we've been over, it seems like this game is, well, at least for its time, was kind of revolutionary. It did plant its feet in a place that we didn't know we needed to be, and Resident Evil 7 is on its way, so if anything, it's a pretty much of a video game staple at this point. Graphic-wise, this particular version of Resident Evil is aged kind of like milk left outside of the fridge. It's chunky, oddly colored, and there's always one soul brave enough to tackle the danger when it's time to take care of it. And as for its controls, of course tank controls were the genre staple, even appearing in the remasters of 1 and 0 to appease the longtime Resident Evil fans. After a while, you do get used to them, but sometimes the alternate controls are even better for the experience. Because you actually feel like you have some level of control, and you're not sliding into shit 24/7. The game, of course, does have its flaws. There's a lot of backtracking and menu management that you have to go through, and a lot of trial and error. With all of that in mind, it's safe to say that Resident Evil deserves to be resurrected, and Capcom has shown us that plenty of times. From its initial release in 1996, to the director's cut, DualShock version, 2002 remake, patch-a-slot, 2015 remaster, and multiple ports. Well, I guess that's it for this episode of Retro Resurrection. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, leave us a like if you think we did a decent job, and share with your friends. And if you want to see more, then you know what to do, hit that subscribe button, and become a Haze faithful. Anyway, I'm Auroric Haze, and I'll see you next time.